Hey everybody, it is AdamHarry. We are back again with the brand new Lumineth Realm Lords book. This is their new Battletome. This is from the boxed set that is out in stores right now. You can go pick that up for yourself. If you do, you'll find this beautiful Battletome. This is one of the limited edition versions. Again, only available in the current box set for the Lumineth Realm Lords. It's pretty nice. It's got that nice gold. See there? Yeah. Ooh, shiny, right? Yeah. It's not every day we get a brand new army in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and so this is kind of a big one. Very cool stuff here. The Lumineth Realm Lords, again, are the new spiky elves, pointy elves, aka High Elves, but formerly known as High Elves. They are back as the Lumineth Realm Lords. These are the children, I guess the second kids of Teclis. We're not going to count the deep kin anymore. So. Whatever. Moving on. Here's the contents of the book. Of course, this is going to be very similar to pretty much any Battletome from Age of Sigmar. But we have a bit of the background of the Elves of Hysh. We've got their Age of Myth, all their background lore section here. All that fun stuff. Bit more history. And then we get into their rules, obviously, where you're going to see all of their different Lumineth Realm Lord allegiance abilities, the different nations that they fight under. They're basically 4 different, if you want to get special rules, army list type stuff. Their Path of Glory goodness. Then, of course, all of their war scrolls for all the different units. Now, we're not going to go through every single page by page, but we are going to show off some of the key stuff here. So, this book is out. You can go pick up the box set if you want to learn more. We encourage you to do that because, I mean, we want to keep playing this game. So check it out. There's Lumineth Realm Lords with the new Teclis and his mighty mount there, partner, more like a partner instead of a mount, but whatever. And they're fighting against a Slaaneshi invasion. So cool. Again, background lore. If you've been keeping up with the events of Age of Sigmar, this stuff shouldn't really be a major surprise for you. It kind of goes through just, again, the Lumineth Realm Lord history, you know, created by Teclis, their struggle with perfectionism and stuff like that. They're the Vulcans. Let's be honest, they're the Vulcans of Age of Sigmar. They are very like shun emotion, very logical, very like perfection seeking. It makes them really good at what they do, which is combat and magic. We'll get into their special rules later, though. Again, Teclis is one half of the twins or brothers of Tyrion and Teclis. Tyrion is actually not really in this book too much. They mention him, but you know he's the blind one that uses his sight beyond sight through Teclis. But we're not going to get into that. So. There's some cool artwork in here. They do mention, of course, the deal with Slaanesh and the elves here of Hysh and Uglu, the realm of shadow. So light and shadow coming together to hide Slaanesh in the Hidden Gloam. And again, if you've been keeping up with the events, this shouldn't be a big surprise for you. We get a little bit more about that, the Twin Realms there, which is kind of cool. Toppling the Spire. We've seen some of these maps before too, but I always like looking at maps because I think it helps make the world feel more real. So here we have the 10 Paradises of Hysh. Then they have some weird effects that happen on the corners of the realm. So anyway, it's good stuff. Check all that stuff out. Here's one of the nations. Let's take a closer look at it here. And I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher some of these names, but this is like Ymetrica. So that's one of the 4 nations you can fight under. They do kind of make a deal with the spirits of the realm, kind of like partnership kind of a deal. So that's where we get the divine bovines, which we'll show off later here, of course. Here's how the Teclician Vanguard of Ymetrica, I'm sorry about that one. We have Teclis and Selenar, which is that big spirit thing that he rolls with. And then we have all of the different war hosts and stuff here kind of sectioned out. You can kind of see it's pretty neat. Moving on here too. Here's the 4 nations again. Symmetry of War. The 4 major nations that you're going to get to use special rules for. Metrica. Syar. Again, sorry if I'm butchering that. Elathia. and Zatratek? I don't know. I'm sure you'll yell at me in the comments about it. But there you go. There's the 4 nations. I always like these timelines too. They're always in the books. So really cool stuff. Again, give you a quick rundown timeline-wise of what's been going on. And then Teclis and the Selenar, which is really cool. And then, of course, these go through the different units, which we'll get into. We have one of the only combat characters really in the book, the Light of Eltharion. He was a character in previous editions of the game. He rolled with like a dragon. It's pretty cool stuff. He's very fighty. Matter of fact, he's one of the only major close combat characters in the book. So if you're looking to really kind of step up the close combat game, you're probably going to want one of these in your army, which is good because it comes in the box. Anyway, here's one of the Cenari Cathodolars. Sorry. One of the kind of like buffing units there, mages. By the way, they're like almost all mages in this book. We'll get to that. Moving on, there's the Venari, and then it goes through the different ones, the Sentinels, the Dawn Riders, etc., Wardens. We then get to the Disciples of the Mountain, which is the Alarith Stone Mages and the Alarith Stone Guard. Those are the guys that have the big hammers. You probably saw pictures of them. They're pretty cool. And then we have the avatars of the Haitian Peaks. This is Avalon, the Stoneheart King, which is like the named character. This is the things that we call the Divine Bovines. They have mountains on their backs and wreck shop. They're pretty cool. Pretty good in close combat. So, yeah. Moving on. Again, lots of really cool pictures of the minis. Here's the mini section, matter of fact. We're not going to spend too much time through this, but you get the idea. All the cool minis are shown off. There's, by the way, let me back up one page. That's one of the Stone Mages. That's pretty cool. The default color scheme, if you were wondering, is the Ymetrica. That's the white and blue, or kind of cream and blue, with like gold kind of filigree and stuff, and silver armor. So, classic look there. The paint guide. They're just talking about the color scheme here. They do give you some more tips on how to paint the other ones, which is nice. I always like these base tutorials. I think they're pretty cool. Just calling those out. Pretty easy to follow. Here we get into the allegiance abilities. We're actually going to take a moment here, and we're going to go over these, because I think this is really cool and important. So, let's dive into these. We have the battle traits for the powers of the Lumineth. Here we have the Aether Quartz Reserve. Basically, I'm just going to skip here to the rules section. Each unit in a Lumineth Realm Lord's army starts the battle with one Aether Quartz Reserve. Once per phase, you can say that one unit will use its Aether Quartz Reserve to use one of the following Aether Quartz Reserve abilities. However, if you do so, subtract one from that unit's bravery characteristic for the rest of the battle. This is a very similar mechanic to the Kharadron Overlord's Gold, Aether Gold, or whatever, ability where they can have that gold. It gives them +1 bravery until they spend it, in which case they get a special ability, but they lose the bravery. It's basically the same thing here. We have these 3 abilities here. Not 3 abilities, 4 abilities. So we have Heightened Reflexes, which is the first one. You can say that a unit will use this ability when it is picked to be the target of an enemy attack. If you do so, add 1 to their save rolls for that attack for the target unit until the end of that phase. So that's cool. Heightened Senses. That is add 1 to hit rolls for the unit when it is shooting or fighting. So just for those attacks. Let's see. Magical boost here. That's before you attempt to cast a spell or unbind. Any unbind rolls are made. If you do so, you can either add 1 to that casting roll or re-roll that casting roll. So that's kind of nice. Then you have Magical Insights. Magical Insight here. You can say that a unit will use this ability at the start of the hero phase. If you do, that unit can attempt to cast 1 extra spell in that phase. Just like a bonus cast, which is nice. Then we get to Absorb Despair. Again, the Aether Quartz kind of messes with emotions and stuff like that, which is one of the reasons the Haitian elves kind of shun emotion. It helps them to focus, but it can be powered by emotion, which is also kind of cool. When you use that reserve, well, it's wholly within 18 inches of a friendly Calathars. Yeah. One of the Misty Veil ladies. You can pick one of their units within 18 inches of that unit and say that they will absorb negative energy. When they absorb the negative energy, do not subtract 1 from the unit's bravery characteristic. Instead, you can pick one enemy unit within 18 inches of that unit. If you do subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic of that enemy unit for the rest of the battle, the same enemy unit cannot be affected by this ability more than once. So, okay. Yeah, that's kind of neat. You kind of move around the negative leadership modifiers. Yeah, I'm going to reread that one a couple of times to really get the hang of it, but pretty cool. I kind of like that. It will punish units with low bravery for sure. Watch out, goblins. You're running. Lightning reflexes, or lightning reactions, sorry. During your combat phase, when it is your turn to pick a unit to fight, you can pick 2 eligible units instead of 1. If you do so, each one of those units can fight one after the other in the order of your choice. So again, this is a nod to lightning reflexes, which is what, if you're an old school player, you probably remember. Basically, whenever you pick a unit of Lumineth Realm Lords to fight, you get to fight with 2 of them. You get to pick 2 units during your initiative activation there for the combat phase, which is really cool. Yeah, just a heads up to you, designer's note, the ability only applies to units to fight during that combat phase. Therefore, it cannot be used for units that fight at the start or end of the combat phase, or for units that fight in any other phases other than the combat phase. So again, it's got to be during the combat phase, not any kind of out-of-sequence attacks that you may generate for whatever reason. Then there's the Great Nations, which we kind of mentioned. There's 4 of them. You can choose to play one of the 4. You don't have to, but if you do, you get benefits. And you have to take specific things. So, yeah. If a model already has a Great Nation keyword on its force roll, it cannot gain another one. This does not preclude you from including the unit in your army, but you cannot use the allegiance abilities for its Great Nation. So, if you're taking somebody, like a special character from Ymetrica, you can't use... they can't use the Sayar version. You get it. Here's some battlefield traits, which we'll zoom out here and take a look at. You get these for most of the different types of characters here. So Venari, Sonari, Alarith. So you've got battle traits, command traits, artifacts of power, more battle traits, command traits, artifacts of power, etc. And I wanted to show off spell lores. They have 2 sets of spell lores. So this is for the Teclis, Light of Atharion, the Kalithars, and the Venari Wizards only. And this one is for Teclis and the Alarith Wizards only. So you got 2 sets depending on what set you're rocking with here. So just a heads up to you, Teclis knows all of these. If you were wondering which abilities Teclis was going to get, which magic spell lores, the answer is yes. So there you go. Moving on. There's Ymetrica, Sire. We're gonna look at Ymetrica because again they're kind of the default option here. We'll take a closer look at their roles to give an example. So here we have your abilities. They have Mountain Realm, the Enduring Rock, the Enduring as Rock battle trait on page 67 changes the Ren characteristic for an attack that targets Ymetrica Alarith units in the mountain stance to dash, meaning if you have one rend 1, it goes to dash. So if the weapon used for that attack has a rend characteristic of -1 or -2 instead of only 1. So, wow. So you ignore rends of 1 and 2 is what I'm getting out of that. Woo! Yeah, that's pretty good. Don't take rend abilities. Anyway, sorry, I was just thinking about my Ossiarch Bone Reapers, and I was like, man, that's pretty good. Moving on, command ability. Redoubled Force. You can use this command ability at the end of the combat phase if you do pick one friendly Ymetrica Alarith unit that has just forced an enemy unit to move using the Teutonic Force battle trait on page 67 for the first time in the phase and is wholly within 18 inches of a friendly Ymetrica hero. You can use this Teutonic Force battle trait for a second time by picking one other enemy unit within 1 inch of that friendly unit. So they have an ability to shift people around. That was actually back here. What was it, page 66? It's It's one of these abilities, the tectonic shift abilities, which, there you go. That's these right here. So yeah, real fast, we'll read the enduring as a rock thing because that's kind of important here. Mountain stance right here. If you do, until your next hero phase, if the weapon used for an attack that targets an Alareth unit in mountain stance has a Ren characteristic of -1, change the Ren characteristic for that attack to dash. So pretty cool. And then of course Tectonic Force. At the end of each combat phase, you can pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of a friendly Alareth unit. You cannot pick the same enemy unit more than once in the same phase. After you pick each unit, your opponent must move that unit 2 inches, and that unit must finish the move more than 1 inch away from any Alareth units from your army if it is possible for it to do so. Yeah, once those enemy units have been forced to move, any friendly Alareth units that are within 3 inches of any enemy units may make a 1 inch pile and move. So you get to shift them around. So fun times. Alright, flipping back here, and then I'll rearrange the camera. Boom. Okay, so now that these rules make a little bit more sense, again, this one changes it from a -1 ignore 1 rend to ignore 1 and 2 rend, which is pretty mean. This one lets you shift more than one unit around. The command trait. Moving on here. This is for your general. If you are running Emetrica, you kind of have to use this command trait. It is called Almighty Blow. When this general fights, instead of piling in and attacking, you can say that they will unleash a single almighty blow. If you do, pick one enemy unit within 1 inch of the general and roll a die. On 2+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, well, pow! D3 mortal wounds. Artifact of Power, which, again, if you're going to take an artifact, you have to take this one first if you're rolling with Emetrica, and then you can go to the other stuff. Mountain's Gift, pick one of the bearer's melee weapons. Once per phase, you can add 1 to the damage inflicted by one attack made with that weapon. In addition, roll a die each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to the bearer. On 6, that wound or mortal wound is negated. In addition, each time the bearer is affected by a spell or endless spell, you can roll a die. On 5+, ignore the effects of that spell on the bearer. Nice! So, there you have it. That's one of the 4 nations. Again, all the nations get that. Get those abilities. There's their special mission. Most of the new army books have a new kind of mission for them, so new battle plan. And then, actually I have 2, it's kind of cool. Path to Glory, which is really fun. That'll help you build out a list if you want to play like a narrative thing and go through Path to Glory. It's a great way to start an army and kind of get your feet under you with it. And there's some special tables for that. It's all included. War Scrolls, we're not going to cover the War Scrolls, but they do have the main big one here, and then they have got 3 of the smaller ones. And then, of course, we get into the rules. We're not going to go through all of the new units, simply because you can actually go to Games Workshop's website and pull these units up and check them out too. They may not be live yet, actually, now that I think about it, but we are going to take a look at Teclis. So, there we go. Let's focus on Teclis' special rules. He's pretty cool. He is got a crazy chart of things going on here. It is a plethora of rules. Starting off, move-wise, is going to be based on his damage table down here. He starts off with a 12-inch move. It goes down to a 4-inch move based on how many wounds he's taken. He does have 16 wounds base with a 4-up save and 10 points for his bravery. Unsurprisingly, he's a pretty brave dude. Missile weapon, he's got the Lunar Staff, which is an 18-inch range, 1 attack. Hits on 2-up, wounds on 2-up, Ren -3, and D6 damage. So he's going to be flinging that at you with an 18-inch range. Doing some plink damage there. Melee weapon, Sword of Teclis. You don't really think of Teclis as being a swordsman, but whatever. 1-inch range, 2 attacks. Hits on a 4-up, wounds on 2-up. Ren's -3 still, and D3 damage. It's a pretty decent melee attack there. Potential 6 damage from that. And then the Moonbright Talons. I believe that's probably from Selenar. 1-inch star attack, which is going to be 6 at the top and 2 at the bottom there. And then hits on a 3, wounds on a 3. -2 Ren, 2 damage a pop. So that's a potential 12 damage on the high end and 4 damage on the low end. So check that out. The model can fly. No big shock there. So you can move around the board. It's got a big old base, so you kind of need that anyway. He's a wizard. Can cast 2 spells. Well, let's see here. You can actually choose 1, 2, or up to 4 spells. If you cast one spell, it automatically casts it. You don't roll the 2d6 and it can't be unbound. Nice! If you want to cast two spells, each is automatically cast with a casting roll of 12 that cannot be modified. Enemy wizards can attempt to unbind those. If you want to go up to 4 spells, each is automatically cast with a casting roll of 10 that cannot be modified, and enemy wizards can attempt to unbind those spells. Wow! So, on that one turn when you really need that one spell to work, it's pivotal to your game plan, just cast that one from Teclis. It goes off automatically, don't roll dice, can't unbind it. If you want to risk it just a tiny bit more, you can auto cast with a 12. They can't be but they can be unbound, but you can't modify those rolls. Or if you just want to, pump spray and blast away, you can do 4 spells. Each one goes off with a 10, and they can be unbound. But what are the odds of that? Depending on the caster. So pretty cool. Aura of Selenar here. Add 1 to the casting, dispelling, and unbind rolls for friendly Lumineth Realmlord units with the range of the aura. The range of this aura goes based on the table up here. It starts at 16 inches, it goes down to 4. So again, with many of the units in this army being wizards that can cast, throws out a lot of unbinds. So that's pretty nice. Discs of the Elementari. Hope I said that right. If you're here in your hero phase, in addition to casting 1, 2, or 4, up to 4 spells, this model can automatically dispel 1 endless spell. Don't roll 2d6. In the enemy hero phase, this model automatically unbinds 1 enemy spell. Don't roll 2d6. Jeez. Wow. Teclis, you're a jerk. Wow. That's pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Seeing Stone of Selenar. Sorry, I'm just processing that. That's pretty good. Each time a friendly unit within range of the model's aura of Selenar ability is affected by an endless spell or a spell cast by an enemy wizard, you can roll a die. On a 4-up, ignore the effects of that spell or endless spell on that unit. Nice. Then pick 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of that spell, of that unit that was affected by the spell. That enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Wow. The range of the aura of Selenar ability for this model is shown in the damage table above. Wow. So have fun with that one. And that is within, not wholly within. Wow. Okay. I'm going to double check the wording on that. Moving on. Teclis' wizard, we know that is determined by using the Archmage ability on the left. So this one. He can attempt to unbind any number of spells in the enemy hero phase. Sorry. He can attempt to unbind any number of spells in the enemy hero phase. He knows the Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, Protection of Teclis, and Storm of Searing White Light spells. Okay, Teclis. Yeah, he's a good caster, folks. Protection of Teclis has a casting value of 10. If successfully cast, you just do that thing. Until your next hero phase, roll a die each time you allocate a wound or mortal wound to a friendly unit wholly within 18 inches of the caster. On a 5+, that wound or mortal wound is negated. This spell cannot be cast in the same hero phase as Protection of Aish. Whew, okay. 5-up, feel no pain, I like it. Storm of Searing White Light. Storm is a casting value of 10, just use that. If successfully cast, roll die for each enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster, invisible to them. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2 through 4, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 5+, that unit suffers D6 mortal wounds. Yeah! Just toss out those mortal wounds. If you get within 18 inches of Teclis, you're going to have a bad time. So, wow. Okay, moving on. We've actually seen the stat lines for the Light of Eltharion. We're not going to go through him. Just know that he's really good in close combat. He's a great combat character. If you need to hold some objectives only heroes can hold, you know what I'm talking about. Here's the Scenari. Cathalar. Again, wizard. Can cast spells. All that fun stuff. Here are the Venari Darn Riders. What I like about them is they're one of the fastest units in this book, and actually that's one of the biggest... Sure, we'll call it the biggest. One of the biggest weaknesses of this army list is they are relatively slow compared to some of the other elf armies we've seen, with a lot of the foot sloggers only moving 4 inches So a Venari Dawn Riders unit in your army to press the flanks or to cause some disruption, long bomb charges type thing, they're pretty good. They have a cool ability, which I do want to talk about. Let's see. It's based on the unit they're attacking, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, okay, let's just read through this part real quick. Okay, so, they have the sword, lance, dashing hooves, all that fun stuff. Deathly Furrows at the start of your combat phase, you can say that unit will do its Deathly Furrows ability. If you do in the phase, you can either add 1 to the attack's characteristic of the unit's melee weapons, but it can only target units that have a wound characteristic of 1 or 2 and do not have a mount. You can add 2 to the attack's characteristic of this unit's melee weapons, but it can only target units that have a wound characteristic of 1 and do not have a mount. So, in essence, if you are charging a unit of, battle line troopers with 1 wound a pop, let's say a unit of night goblins, something squishy, right? Since they are on foot, they're not mounted, and they only have 1 wound, you can use this ability, and you get to add 2 to your attack's characteristic for your melee weapons. That's going to allow you to kind of run through them really quickly, which is essentially what that is. So they get better. They're really designed to break enemy line troopers with this ability, just because it adds a bunch of attacks. And there's ways to buff the army in general to do more hits and stuff, make it more consistent, things like that. So pretty cool stuff for the Venari Dawn Riders. The Sentinels, which are the shooty guys, and then the Wardens, which are the pokey guys, because they have those really long spears, which, by the way, they're some of the longest spears, I think, ever. Maybe not quite as long as like some of those pikes we've seen back in the day. You know what I'm talking about. But they're really long spears. They're both really good units. The Lumineth Realm Lords also have a thing where for each one of these guys, one of the Warden units you take, as battle line, you can take another unit, either the Dawn Guard or the Sentinels, as battle line as well. So they're kind of mandatory. And then we get to the other characters. I do want to show off the Avalon, because I think this was a really cool character. I'm not going to go through all the special abilities here. You can read those on your screen. But I do want to show off the stat block real fast, because I think it's cool. 6-inch move, nothing crazy, but it does have 14 wounds, a 3-up save, and 10 bravery. And I believe it does down here have the Eumetrica ability or keyword, so you do have to roll it with that. But it's a beat stick. I mean, just straight up. It's got the Geometric Blast, which is D6 damage with minus your rend, which is pretty nice. But it's got those big hammers, the Fire Sealer hammers, 2-inch range, 6 attacks with that, hitting on 3, wound on 3, minus 1 rend, and the damage is based on the wound suffered, so it starts at 5. So potential 30 damage seems good. Seems pretty good. Cloven Hoofs, also 2 attacks with that, Stompy Stomps, 2 damage, minus 1 rend. Again, more special abilities there you can read. So I think it's just going to be a cool model, and it looks amazing. I can't see not taking one of these if I was playing the Lumineth. So, but there you go. They have their endless spells as well, which I'm not going to cover, but you can see them here. They're coming soon with the rest of the army, and then we'll have points at the back. I'm not showing those off because go buy the book. Anyway, that is the Lumineth Realm Lords. I like that shiny gold leaf down there at the bottom. You can kind of see. So I like this book a lot. I like this army a lot. It is going to be an army that is going to really favor you if you learn the army really well. Learn how stuff synergizes together. It's not a newbie friendly army, I would say. I'm not saying you can't pick this as your first army. I'm just saying if you're learning the game too, it's going to be really rough. If you know the game and want to experiment with an army that's going to push you tactically and challenge you to really get the most out of it, I think this can be a contender for sure. I just think it's going to take a lot more practice than some of the more, let's call them point-and-click armies out there. I'm not going to name names, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this has been our not-so-short overview of the Lumineth Realm Lords new Battletome. It is out in the box set, currently the only way to get it. This is a special edition of this book. You'll be able to pick it up at a later date from Games Workshop, but there you have it now. It's really pretty. Highly recommend checking it out. Anyway, I'm AdamHarry from BoLS. Thanks for watching. Click to subscribe. Check out more videos. And thanks for watching.